Summer's almost here, and for a lot of people, me included, that means trying to soak up the sun without blowing our budgets. And this morning, our friend joins us, Adam Young, area manager at Everwise Credit Union. My friend, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeremy.
As I told you, this topic is fresh for me. My best friends and I, we were just talking last night about all of our summer plans. So with that being said, you know, summer has a way of sneaking up on us. It's right around the corner, and that means trying to plan out our trips and also keeping budgets in check. So how do we do that?
You know, when you really think about the summer months, you really are thinking about a change in your routine. You know, when we start the beginning of the year, we have all these grand plans. We're like, we're going to save all this money and do all this thing. And we kind of roll through, and then the summer hits us and we got to change up, and we're like, oh, the vacation is here, or hey, my child care is changed up, or I've got these camps that are coming. So I think the biggest thing to think about when it comes to the summer month is still to stick to that plan and still to have an understanding of exactly everything that you've got coming up expense-wise and have a plan for that.
So let's dive into that. You know, it's really easy when you go on vacation to pull out the plastic and overuse it. So how do you stick to that budget when you've got those temptations once you get to your destinations?
The vacation budget really comes down to what is the actual plan. You know, you can know exactly where you're staying at, right? You know exactly kind of like who you're going with, and I think that's a creative thought when it comes to like how much money you're going to spend, because at the end of the day, vacationing, you can go with your immediate family, you can go with your broader family, and there's a lot of ways to save on expenses when you're actually at the vacation. But at the end of the day, knowing those expenses now, kind of like the phrase, you got to know where you are to know where you're going moment, you should go ahead and start planning for those activities now and have that plan set so you know exactly how much money you have to spend when you're there.
Okay, when you're talking planning for our parents out there, you can't talk about a trip without talking about daycare or summer camps, and all of that costs money too. So how do you incorporate that in there? Tips for the parents?
I think for the parents, the biggest thing, and I was actually putting some real thought to this over the last few days, was actually talking with my wife, and you know, one thing that is always about how do you bring in your immediate family to meet all of those financial goals. And when it comes to trip planning or even kind of vacation planning, you have those extra little ideas of expenses that you're going to do while you're gone. When your kids are at home, maybe have them help out with some things around the house so they can learn the value of a dollar and save some of those dollars that they're perceived to have worked for when you go on vacation. So now they can say, man, I worked for this while I was at home, and I then able to use it while I'm on the vacation. So it's a good way to kind of bring the kids into how the money kind of works within the family. So you're really teaching and holding some accountability to them, and it also gets some things done for you while you're working hard for that vacation.
You know, may as well, another saying, you know, may as well knock out two birds with one stone, as they say.
That's a good way.
Okay, last question for you, because I know we're running out of time.
Sure.
As we get closer to the vacation season, and I'm asking this specifically for me, you're managing the trips that you have. What about the sporadic trips that come along, those birthday trips or those weekend getaways that people like to plan, you know, when their schedules necessarily line up, because you don't always get a chance to spend time with your loved ones?
This is the one that you really kind of hone in, and you almost factor in like a small budget or cash flow of items that are for those what-offs, you know, that potentially may happen. And it's always not just for the fun thing. It could be something that's not so fun too. Maybe you have like your air conditioning or something that kind of goes out. I think that really flows within that cash flow budget where you say, hey, I've identified all my need-based items, you know, such as the shelter, such as your food and your clothing and things like that. But that extra that you have out, where a lot of times you're either paying down debt to help, you know, into the future, or you're investing that money, you can set a sum of it aside for the what ifs. Kind of look at it more as like your emergency fund.
I like that.
Yeah.
A what if fund.
The what if. That's right. That's right.
Well, great tips as always, Adam.